Real Nerds is a proud partner of the Denver Podcast Network. In the shadow of the mountains,
we speak.
Hello, everybody. I'm JD Lopez, the host of Left Hand Right Brain. It's a free-flowing, wide-ranging conversation that I have with artists doing interesting and creative things here in Denver and beyond. We talk about their personal stories, break down their creative process, and what motivates them. Spoiler alert, it's mostly spite. We talk about all these things and more while kicking back, cracking wise, and always having a good time. You can find old episodes and everything you need to know at lefthandrightbrainpod.com.
Oh, hi, podcast listeners. There's many ways you can listen to the Real Nerds podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe on Stitcher Radio. You want to send us a Twitter message? You can do that. It's so easy, at Real Nerds. Like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com, where there'll be a lot of articles for you to not only read, but to listen to our previous shows. You can also call us, 720-6nerds5. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Ed Kramer, CGI artist from Industrial Light and Magic. I worked on the scarabs from The Mummy, the rock monster from Galaxy Quest, and you are listening to the Real Nerds Podcast.
Welcome to Real Nerds Podcast, unofficially the official podcast of Denver Pop Culture Con 2019 and beyond. I am your host, Zach. Sounds weird. I shouldn't be the host. And joining me, as always, is...
Brad.
Yeah. Every week we go see a new movie and podcast our experience to the world. This week we saw Glass. M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. The two dullest nerds... in the room are gonna. This sounds like the lame guys teaming up.
Yeah, the lamest of the nerds are teaming up for this episode. Sorry, you're gonna have everyone else on it, but
we'll find out if Tales of the Legendary Zeast are true. Brad, how you doing? How was your week?
Productive. I got the last of my Blu-rays done, except for Van Damme. All the 48-hour stuff is on Blu-ray. I feel like less of the weight of the world is on my shoulders, so that's pretty nice. I feel like I can come up with stuff again.
There you go. Well, you put your heart and soul into those things, man.
I did.
I love the Thunderbolt cover, by the way. I don't think I've told you that, but I do like
the cover artwork.
The cover artwork, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, crack into some of those. I put a lot of work into the bonus features.
No, I know. I've got the If It Bleeds, and did I get Thunderbolt 2 or Thunderbolt 1?
2, because you worked on 2.
That's right. I got 2 because I worked on that one.
Yeah.
And then Cardigan Sorrow also has one finally coming, which it feels weird that one was delayed, but, you know, you were a hard worker, so.
Well, there's a lot of bonus. There was a documentary on that where everyone did interviews about the weekend.
Oh, nice.
That I had to cut together, and that was the hardest part, but
ooh,
I powered through it, and it's done. Everything's done. All 9 films are on Blu-ray now, so.
Nice, excellent. I only have a few. The other ones are out of print.
No, there's copies. You just got to buy them because you don't work on them.
That is true.
And they're limited runs, so.
I want to work on this year's one, but I also heard that Kristen Nolan's no longer the producer on the show element of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but the reality is she isn't, so they're looking for someone to succeed her because no one will replace her. But I don't know who could do that job because it's pretty hardcore. The email they sent asking people like me to fill in asks a lot of work for basically commission. So, yeah, a lot of effort goes into that, and I don't know who could fill. She has a lot of connections that make that festival run smoothly, and I don't know who else can fill that void. And if they don't fill it, I worry that they will just, take a pass on this year and not do it.
Maybe it'll be like the Oscars, no host. It'll just appear out of thin air.
I mean, if money's not involved, like, we could do it on our own. Like, the mechanics of the project don't require a lot. It's the screenings.
Yeah, it's just finding a space to show
expensive. And, I can get a space, but
maybe for one element of it. You mean, like, the thing about it is, like, if anybody doesn't know the 48-hour, they have a screening after everything's all said and done.
Yeah, the following week.
And then the following, how many weeks after is it when they do the final 15?
About a month.
About a month, okay.
Yeah.
So, but the first round of screenings, they show everything that's...
Every team.
Every
yeah.
team that's in the blocks, and they have, like, different time blocks. So it occupies about 3 theaters at the minimum.
One theater, but about 5 times a day.
Okay. So they don't put it into multiples, like at the C.
Only if, like, ticket sales are so large for a block that they split it.
Right.
So that's rare.
But so the issue then becomes is like, can you rent out a theater for the entire day? I mean, you could probably do it at an AMC or a Regal, but I'm sure they're way more expensive than what C and Esquire were charging. So, and Esquire's out of commission at this point.
Yeah, for the moment. So.
Whether it'll stay out of commission is up to the fate of time. But
yeah, they made a post recently insisting that they would be back, but again, I'm not sure they've even evaluated how costly their repairs are going to be. And it turns out it was a plumbing issue. So
you know what we should do? You get a green shirt and some overalls. I'll get a red shirt and some overalls.
Hell
we'll
yeah!
Put on some mustaches.
Eat some mushrooms.
Yeah. we gotta get to the job in 30 minutes or less. Otherwise, the other brothers will take the job.
Whoa, Zach! There's a piranha plant growing out of this toilet.
Brad, shut up! I'm trying to deal with this popcorn trying to eat me. I love mushrooms, Zach and Brad. New characters, guys.
Watch out. These Goombas are walking up to us. Goombas? That's racist.
Oh, shit, man. I'm having a crisis. Oh, am I woke? Well, obviously I'm not because I'm seeing things. I'm freaking out, man. Shit, man. Let's go down that pipe. Wait, no. We'll just go down in my pipe.
The next morning, the lights go on in the theater. Did you two break in here?
We're just writhing around on the floor. That's
my
more
head
ecstasy.
hurts.
That's more ecstasy, but still.
Yeah.
And then the guy who's asking us is just is Bowser, and we're just like, get him! Start throwing hammers at him.
They're throwing giant plumber's wrenches at him.
I'll stop him with his fireball. I just take a bag full of fireballs and just start throwing it at him.
Brad and Zach were arrested for assault and drug paraphernalia.
When asked to comment about their arrest, they said, "Mamma mia!" It's a me, prisoner 127. No, I mean, I hope they do find a new curator for it.
Yeah, either way, it's gonna be different. It's maybe quite a bit different dynamic. And
I meant to tell you before we proceed, I was on Letterboxd looking through some stuff, and I saw that Jean-Claude Van Damme's Damn Van has an entry on Letterboxd.
It does,
which I never knew, so I took the time to review it.
Excellent.
I gave it 5 stars.
As you should have.
I gave it a classy review.
Cool.
It's the most biased review I could possibly give.
Look forward to reading those words.
It said, "Eat shit, bread."
Yeah, valid.
Get bent. I'm gonna
kill yourself.
Oh no. We on Real Nerds Podcast don't want you to kill yourself. No. Yeah. Anyway, but anyway, we also talk about movies that we've been watching, what's coming out on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, widescreen, letterbox, laserdisc, and movie news. And every so often we get I guess it's now more weekly, we get letters from our correspondent Corinne called Catching the Classics with Corinne. There's no real pause for that. We don't have a theme yet.
Yeah, no. Interestingly enough, this is what she wrote. Hey, nerds. Sorry, no Catching the Classics this week.
No! Boo!
I'm hoping to get around to watching the comedy horror film next week. But I did want to share my thoughts on 2 relatively new films I saw this weekend. The first, Paddington 2.
Oh, shit. Henry's listening with full ears.
Yeah, Henry's paying attention. You nerds have talked about it already, including the film Explosion episode, but I hadn't seen it yet. I do remember thinking the first Paddington was adorable, but this film was even more so. Everyone is on their A game in this movie, especially Hugh Grant and Ben Whishaw, who voices Paddington. The film moves well and has even better writing than the first one, in my opinion. The main reason I feel that's the case is because the villain wasn't as overdone as the Nicole Kidman's character was in the first one. Hugh Grant's character is much more kid-friendly, and I agree with you nerds that the scenes of him playing his various characters are utterly hilarious.
They are.
There are 2 quick things about him in Paddington that I want to point out. And spoilers ahead. Number 1, at one point, Hugh Grant's agent makes a comment about how he wants to do a one-man show because he can't bear to work with other people because they dilute his talent. And yet, by the very end of the film, we see that he has opened himself back up to working with other people. Side note, I never knew how much I needed Hugh Grant and company performing an elaborate musical number in a pink prison jumpsuit until I received it.
Yeah.
Which actually reminds me, I don't know if she's seen Grand Budapest Hotel, but
yeah, well,
it's kind of the same without the musical part.
Yeah, not a musical, but Harvey Keitel looks great in a prison suit.
Number 2, I think what I love about this film most is the small but crucial detail of the book and why the protagonist and antagonist each want it. Hugh Grant's character wants it purely for selfish reasons, and he steals the book, whereas Paddington was working really hard to earn money to buy the book as a present for Aunt Lucy. Mm-hmm. And while we never saw it, I bet if Paddington had found out the book had contained a treasure map, he still wouldn't have let Aunt Lucy he still wouldn't have sent it to Aunt Lucy because he's that caring and she means that much to him. There's also a contrast in how the two treat the book and other things. Paddington is maybe a bit clumsy, as we see with the sock, but he cares about things even though no one else does, and even if they're not his, as we see him cleaning the windows for the Colonel. Whereas the villain writes down notes in a one-of-a-kind book. Jerk. If I have any complaint, it's that Peter Capaldi returned for a small role where he's a major a-hole. Not sure why he was in the movie. At least in the first one, he was a little bit more complex and had more screen time.
Yeah.
Here he's just a cartoon. But I'm biased, obviously, because I like Capaldi, and I hate seeing him wasted in a film. Anyway, I could rant about how awesome this movie is, but Henry has already done that plenty. I'm honestly surprised that Ryan still hasn't seen it, considering he's the only nerd with a kid.
Until now.
Forthcoming news from another one of us. I'm asking you nerds to peer pressure him into watching the Paddington movies. But on the whole, this film will make your heart smile. Go see it. Watch it with your kids. Any thoughts on Paddington before I move on to the next review?
Well, the Capaldi thing actually is interesting because, the character does kind of just unceremoniously return as a shitbag in the second one, where in the first one, there was that character turn where he notifies the family about Nicole Kidman's character, because Nicole Kidman's seducing Peter Capaldi in that first film. I don't think it hurts the film, but it's interesting if you're following the logic of the films. But I mean, they're Paddington movies. I'm not gonna throw a bunch of rocks at it for that. And I mean, they're great movies. And then also the whole the idea of Hugh Grant's character and whatnot. I said it on the Film Explosion, that's a great character villain arc, whatnot, and I like that even he gets some form of redemption or at least satisfactory conclusion at the end of the film, even if it's in the credits. So, anyway.
So the second film I saw this weekend was Aquaman. I just got out of the theater, actually, so I'll keep my thoughts brief.
My man.
I had kind of low expectations for it based on your guys' reviews, but I went to see it with a friend, and he likes Jason Momoa, and said it was a good movie and that I should give it a chance. And having seen it just now, I'll say I liked it more than I thought I would. Mm-hmm. Very beautiful movie visually. The effects were cartoonish in parts, but when is people talking underwater ever going to look real? I thought all the actors were charismatic, even if the story was a bit weak in some parts. Once they got to Atlantis, I was on board. The synth music and futuristic-looking world definitely gave me Blade Runner vibes. Mm-hmm. Overall, you could do worse. I think Wonder Woman is a better movie, but Aquaman wasn't as bad as I thought. Thanks, and hope you guys have a good week. I mean, I agree it's visually, amazing, but, Mark Bernard agreed with me this week that, Arthur Curry doesn't, earn anything. He acquires a trident, and that solves his problems.
Mm-hmm. How I will counterpoint it, only briefly with this. So my friend from middle and high school who's in the military in South Carolina, shout out to Sam. He was texting me asking me if he should go see Aquaman or Ralph Breaks the Internet. And I said, well, both are watchable. What are you looking for? And he's like, well, tell me about Aquaman. And I'm like, Aquaman is just dumb, stupid fun. If you can get on board with that, you will have so much fun with this movie. I've passed the point with, well, until we talk about our film this week, I've passed the point with DC where I am looking for anything substantial or solid in the cinematic universe thing. I'm just going to the movie to watch it on its own merits, which is what I should have been doing from the get-go anyway. And Aquaman is fun on its own terms, and it doesn't need to... This is going to sound dumb. It doesn't need to necessarily be anything too compelling or rich in storytelling. It just needed me to have fun with watching Jason Momoa be Aquaman. And I did have fun with it. But I will admit, it is not a strong movie, and it is super long. But
well, DC set the precedent of having substance with their comic book films with the Dark Knight trilogy.
I know.
That's where the expectation comes from.
I know, and this seems like the counterpoint of what they think the audience wants now, whereas they thought they knew what the audience wanted with BVS and Suicide Squad and even Justice League in certain parts. So I would just say meet Aquaman on its own terms, and you will be just fine. But if you're looking for depth and the stuff you want out of the Aquaman DC stuff, maybe not so. But I agree, he doesn't earn anything in the movie. But
I guess I just should say that he does learn like to not kill his enemies, but that's like such a shallow.
He learns to be
character goal.
He learns that sometimes being a bro is not everything, and sometimes you have to be less bro. My man.
So yeah, thanks for writing in, Corinne.
Yeah, cool. Right on. Brad, is there anything going around town?
Hey, film buddies, follow me around Denver.
No.
Okay, cool.
The Esquire is still down, and there's no local things that I'm a part of. So
theater shut down day 7.
I mean, if you want some just comedy shows, check out the Bug schedule. They have a couple things going on, but nothing really film related going on around town.
I like the idea of the Nerd Night thing that they're going to be doing, or what? I think that's what it's called, Nerd Night.
Yeah, if you like educational, sciencey nerd stuff, then yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, shoot, yeah.
They're probably not going to be talking about movies. Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well then, shall we spin the newspaper in our minds into some real news?
It's real news.
I can't believe I struggled with that so much. It felt like
I know it's your job to lead the show this week. And
you know
you're
what?
Already fucking it up.
I'm not Ryan. I wish I could.
Clearly,
you know what? Fine.
We've known that forever.
I'll wear a Gordon Ramsay shirt and I'll just start talking about Sam Raimi nonstop.
Is that Ryan's attire? Gordon Ramsay shirts? Is that?
I thought he wore a Gordon Ramsay shirt. Or no shirt. Hat. Sorry, hat.
Okay.
Yeah, he wears those. He wears that Gordon Ramsay hat, right? Or at least he did at one point.
I think I've seen him in a Spider-Man hat more often than I've seen him wear Gordon Ramsay hats.
I thought he had a Gordon Ramsay hat when I first met him.
Ryan's iconic look is like Spider-Man ball cap, pink polo, and then like shorts.
And occasionally that nowadays that new Homecoming hoodie that he has.
Yeah, if it's a little chilly out, he has a Homecoming hoodie.
I like how you said Ryan's iconic look. there are many looks throughout the history of fashion, and Ryan is definitely at the.
He's the poster boy for that one.
He is our generation's last hope for fashion.
And unapologetic.
He does not care.
And super sexy.
At the end of his fashion commercial is a big middle finger. We actually got hit with some fun trailers, one of them's fun and the other one's a mystery. We'll start with the fun one, Spider-Man Far From Home. Do we want to play it or can we just talk about it?
Yeah, Ryan's not here. We'll talk about it.
Okay, cool. It looks fun. It looks a lot of fun.
I still have to edit last week's show. So.
Okay. No, it looks fun. I enjoyed watching them kind of giving just how do you proceed from Homecoming, because like at this point I can't really take into account Infinity War, because it seems like this is all happening, as I can tell so far, before Infinity War even happens. So but I liked at the beginning of the trailer with Aunt May already knowing, like, so now she knows he's Spider-Man. So I just like that interplay and whatnot, which is something that I liked about Man of Steel, which is like Lois Lane already knows who fucking Superman is.
Yeah.
And then
It's hard to like make a movie that like disguises a superhero's identity in the age of social media, you know?
that's something that I've been thinking about recently.
Like there's cameras everywhere. It's hard to like hide.
Yeah, which kind of stinks in a certain degree because like I mean like one of the things that's great about Batman is like he does have to put on that dual personality, and like Batman I think is the only current hero that you can possibly do within that scheme, but even that's kind of wearing thin in terms of at least how they've dealt with it on.
Well, if Batman keeps trotting out like super advanced like high-tech machinery, like
people are going to notice.
The smart people are going to like wonder where he gets funded from, and
Yeah, so like I don't know, we'll see. I mean, like you ground it enough, I guess it's like I mean Nolan did it correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, like did he do it the best? That's your opinion, but he did it really well.
But I guess the notable thing about Far From Home is we get to see Mysterio, and he's full on comic.
You might want to stay out of this.
What?
He's like his line where he's like, "You might want to stay out of this."
And I'm not fooled at all. Like this is clearly a story where Mysterio's pretending to be a heroic guy to foil Spider-Man, and he's like manufacturing situations for that. So
also, Jon Favreau hitting on Marissa Tomei is adorable, and I want that spin-off movie. Everybody wants
a romantic comedy.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I want Sam Jackson and that cat to go on adventures from Captain Marvel, and I want the Happy Hogan Aunt May romance story.
When Happy Met Sally.
When Happy Met Sally.
Or Aunt May, sorry.
When Happy Met May.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it looks fun. I'm looking forward to it. Also, within the caveat that Endgame's going to change the game. I didn't like that line. So yeah.
Do I need to take over?
No, we're good. I can
Don't
handle
knock
this.
it off.
I'll handle this like a man.
Stay on point. So we got another trailer this week.
Yeah. There's gonna be another Ghostbusters, and the story behind it's interesting. So the trailer that's being discussed here, it's not really a trailer. It's more like a pitch video for
it's a teaser.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it what it is. It's a pitch video for Kickstarter.
They're not going to Kickstart fund that.
No. But like, look.
They're testing
they're testing the water here.
But that doesn't make sense because clearly, with the last movie, everyone voiced their opinion on what it should be. So I don't think they needed to, figure out who wants this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like clearly we unfortunately know who wants what out of Ghostbusters. But I will say this though, Jason Reitman coming on board, while it does seem like a big old pot of nepotism, I'm not opposed to it. He clearly has passion for that product since he was a kid. I mean, like, I don't take the line, I was the first Ghostbusters fan, like, with too much salt, but I do like the fact that it is him genuinely seeming to care, as it stands in all the press quotes he's given. So what I guess now needs to be unveiled at some point is, like, so how involved is Aykroyd, Hudson, and Murray? Because, like, obviously we're not going to dig up Harold Ramis from the grave. That I know of. Do you bring Moranis back? Like, find a way to coax him out with, like, $30 million? And, like, the bigger thing is, like, okay, so it's got to be, like, it's either going to be, like, they say it's a sequel to the second one, or a follow-up immediately to the second one. So... Not
immediate. It's set in that universe, but...
But so, like, so then the question is like, okay, like, what are you going to address? What are you not going to address? And the one thing we know they're not going to address is the reboot, which I like the reboot.
Yeah.
I liked Answer the Call. I thought it was a fun movie. And Leslie Jones has certainly voiced her opinion on the matter as of today.
I'm so sick of, like, people treating movies like The Highlander, like there can only be one.
Yeah,
like,
no, I mean...
There's plenty of space in the universe for varying goes, but like movies aren't precious. I'm so sick of this shit.
Right, and then, well, yeah, I mean, spoiler alert.
They're important in some places, but like they, I
mean, they're important to us.
Would you rather like the first Ghostbusters only ever existed in 1984 and that was it? Like they created such a rich universe. Like, it it deserves to have like a trial and error. Like there's comic books that have been successful with IDW that have like expanded into
animated series.
The animated series, like, you know,
the real Ghostbusters.
Even if it doesn't meet your expectations, like, doesn't mean there's not room for it, like, on the shelf.
And I feel about this whole situation the same way I feel about Star Wars, which I'm just like, I'm going to use it for Ghostbusters, though. It's a movie about comedians fighting ghosts.
Yeah.
There are bigger things that happen outside of the movie world that people need to, like, get a grip on.
Yeah, unless for some reason, like, Sony decides, like, yeah, we're going to, like, erase the first Ghostbusters from existence. Like, you don't have to worry. It's always going to be around for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's one, like, it's, you know, like, if Ted Turner in the 80s is saying, I'm going to colorize Casablanca, well, that is technically an issue because that is tampering with the actual thing.
But did he delete, like, the original black and white?
No, he did. No, he didn't. But that is like an example of where you can insert your opinion like that. But, like, in terms of getting angry over sequels and stuff like that, I don't know. Like, I don't see the point in getting angry about it. And also, like, if Ivan Reitman's not interested in continuing the story on his own terms and whatnot, then it is up to Aykroyd and it is up to Jason Reitman, or it is up to Paul Feig. It's whoever's holding those reins. Like, if you really don't like what they're doing, you don't have to watch. You can go write your own fan fiction. It's fine. You know, that's certainly a space where people have been able to do things like that.
Artistic merit is like the least important thing to Sony. Like, it's product.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Read a book called The Big Picture, which just came out like mid last year. It explains the whole rise and fall of Sony, including the hack. These guys have, like, been struggling for so long, like, they're grasping at straws. And, like, Venom was a big grasp at a straw, and it paid off. But my question is, how long will that continue to pay off for them? Because I don't know how well a Venom 2 will do. But Ghostbusters, in terms of this, like, I feel like that they're trying to keep that property alive.
As they should. And you know what? If you want to make everyone happy, the team doesn't have to be all girls or all guys. You could blend both.
Yeah. Well, and the potential plot details.
You know what you're not going to get? 3 old dudes fighting ghosts.
Yeah. Like, sorry, guys, you're not going to get that. That's not the movie you're going to get.
Yeah, that's highly unlikely to be a great movie.
And honestly, I don't think you'll want that, especially considering the film we're going to talk about today. Don't know if you want that. Don't know if you do. We'll find out if you do.
Yeah. So teaser's interesting.
The potential plot detail, though, is that, like, it's going to be 2 girls and two girls and 2 guys, or like 2 boys and 2 girls, or whatever. Is one of the things I read. So
I thought you were going to say, like, my guess is Oscar from Ghostbusters 2 is grown up, and he has to take the reins and form his own team.
No, I didn't see that one. But, yeah. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. I don't think anyone said, like, a specific plot thing, so that would be my guess.
No, there was just, like,
most obvious.
It's just loose
story.
Things out in the ether. But anyway, who are you going to call them Ghostbusters?
Just move on, dude. Just move on.
Moving on, Netflix could be losing 20% of its film library starting this year. So looks like they're really making the push into their original content zone. And
yeah, I mean, my menu is all, like, Netflix originals. It's pretty frustrating.
I've still got a lot of, like if you look in the right category and stuff like that. Like,
if you dig deep, you can find them. But, like, most advertisements and most, like, feeds that, you know, as soon as I turn it on, it's like Netflix this, Netflix that, original. And
which,
it's like,
if they were making too much crappy content, I'd say that's a problem. But
no, they have a lot of great stuff. But I'm just like, I did sign on the service to rent the movies that I missed in the theater, you know? Right. So that's kind of a bummer.
I think Prime does a better job with balancing its stuff, because it's not necessarily shoving every Prime thing down your throat.
Yeah.
Like, in its top movies, yes, they'll have theirs, but they'll also have, like, whatever, like, big movie they could get their hands on that month. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, all the indie movies were, like, big prominent features on there for a while.
Yeah, my only gripe with Prime is that if you watch something and then say you fall asleep to it, it just disappears from your menu, and then you have to, like, actually look up the title and find it and, like, add it back to the menu. That's the only thing is, you know, I hate having to track that down.
Well,
Usually I can't remember what I even watched the night before, but
well, and we've got Disney's got its stuff coming in late this year, and Warner Media's trying to figure out their shit. So, everybody's gonna stake their own claim, and we'll see how it goes from there. 2 more stories. Green Book won the PGA, and the Oscars nominations will be announced on Tuesday. With that, though, the Oscars have said they're going hostless, and I guess there was a big controversy where SAG-AFTRA actors were being bullied into being only exclusive presenters to the Oscars and not to any other awards ceremony. So basically, if you were going to present at the SAG Awards, you would not be eligible to present at the Oscars, and vice versa. The interesting part of this story is that, look, I like the Academy Awards for personal, memory reasons, but I will agree with you to the end of time that they are kind of, out of touch, irrelevant, whatever you want to call it. The awards don't matter, stuff like that.
they matter to the people involved in the awards.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're an industry insider and you work within that business, then yes, you deserve to have a stake in it.
Yeah.
But people who are critiquing it and decide, have an opinion on it, your opinion doesn't matter because you are not involved.
So yeah, no, exactly.
You're privileged to be able to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't usually gripe about, I don't care who's hosting it. This year, maybe I had an opinion about it, but I won't go into it there. The bottom line is that it's still an award show. It's a fun, goofy award show where, rich people award other rich people. No, nothing wrong with that, I guess. But the issue at hand here is that the Academy is literally grasping at its own straws, trying to figure out how to stay relevant. Because if they're really concerned about having an exclusive grasp on an actor to be on their stage as opposed to any other stage, that means that they're still trying to figure out how to stay relevant. Clearly the stuff that's been happening the past 3 years with the many controversies they've had, they still don't know how to fit into the current time.
Yeah.
And what I find fascinating about that is at the end of the day, they seem to not be reading the room as well as they ever have. This seems to be the worst way they've read the room in years, because I don't think anybody's tuning in for the Oscars just to watch one actor present an award.
Yeah.
That's not the reason they're tuning in. They have a loyal fan base that will tune in regardless of what goes on.
I used to tune in to watch the results, and now I can just read them.
Yeah, well, in
an article the next day.
I like watching the speeches. I like watching unexpected moments. I enjoy the production numbers. I enjoy the pageantry, for whatever it's worth. And I'm curious to see how the hostless one will go, because the last time it went hostless, it went fucking wrong. Have you seen the Rob Lowe clip?
What year was this?
This is I think it's the 80 or 81, but Rob Lowe is singing to fucking Snow White or something, and it's weird. You look it up.
I saw that.
Yeah, you'll have to look it up if you haven't seen it. But anyway, the bottom line though is that it's interesting to see that these guys, not having a host, trying to make actors exclusive, they are the most vulnerable they've ever been in the past 10, 15 years. And I'm just interested to see where this goes for the next month. So I'm not going to make a continued Oscar watch on the show here, but I had to bring it up because it's who does that? The whole reason the Academy Awards was created in the first place was to avoid the creation of unions. And now they're budging in on union affairs again. It's a whole crazy confluence of events that I just find utterly fascinating. So, and if you the listener find it fascinating too, come join my bitch session with me.
Zach's new podcast.
This is bitch session. Hashtag woke. And the last piece of news, which is super fun.
It's not necessarily the subject that's the bitch. It might be the host.
I'm the bitch. These are my sessions.
Yeah.
Last piece of news that I thought is awesome. Unsolved Mysteries is getting rebooted to Netflix. They haven't said anything about a host yet. I hope they just do what they did to Peter Cushing and bring back Robert Stack.
Yeah. All they need is a theme song. That's the most important part.
And then the first episode with
scary theme song.
Yes, that's true. Actually, the producer of Stranger Things is the one who's bringing it back, so I hope they keep that, or maybe even do a fun little remix of the theme. If they do CGI Robert Stack and whatnot, the first episode should be, can you guess the mystery of how I'm still here? Not a lot of info on it yet, but like I love that Unsolved Mysteries. Now it's on Prime, and I like watching the reruns because like I didn't watch a shit ton of it when I was a kid, but like I liked watching it now just because it's like fun fodder in the background. So that'll be interesting to see how that is received. And that's news.
Cool.
Now we'll kick into some Blu-rays and 4Ks and beta tapes. DVD releases and Blu-rays. Well, if you're a fan of First Man, you can pick that up on 4K Blu-ray.
And I will.
Yep, I liked it.
A little disappointed there's no steelbook for that in America, but
there's no steelbook for some of the best films of last year. So
yeah,
I mean, I guess
it seems like Best Buy at least has one for every new release now. But yeah,
most of them. Like, I mean, I thought Black Klansman might have had a steelbook thing going for it, but it didn't do that.
Yeah, the Bumblebee one looks sweet. I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
and Little Mermaid's getting one.
Yeah, Little Mermaid. I mean, like, I just got the Halloween one, and it looks pretty cool. I still don't know. I like the artwork, but I don't like the font of the title. Like, it looks weird to me. But I'm gonna pick up a regular 4K copy anyway. Arrow is putting out Waterworld, which I've only seen once, and I'd be interested in watching it again. Scream Factory's putting out 10 to Midnight with Charles Bronson, so you can pick that up. And we're also getting, it says here, the collector edition of Cobra, Sylvester Stallone's Cobra, which is a fun film. We talked a lot about it in my action film class when I was at film school.
I'm interested to see what the bonus features are going to be on that one.
I didn't look them up, but
yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Criterion's putting out 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days on Blu-ray. I saw that in a film expression class. That was really good. We're getting Dirty Rotten Scoundrels on Shout Selects, which is a great movie. See the 88 or 87 Film Explosion for that. I can't remember the year right now, but it was on one of those. Twilight Time is putting out Beat the Devil, which is a Humphrey Bogart movie. You can check that out. 4K of The Hate U Give, also on Blu-ray, which I did not see. I heard it was really good. Best Friends, Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero's epic 2-part adventure is getting a Blu-ray release of both films.
Yep, I have that one coming.
Is it going to be like double disc or anything? Did it have any details? Or?
Both movies are in the same release, so I don't know if they're on separate discs or like it's cut all together as one movie. So
ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's about it in terms of the.
I think it's probably on separate discs because at the screening, Greg Sestero said that like he purposely split it up because, and it's true, like the dynamic of the story is quite different between the two characters that appear in both parts. Mm-hmm. Like it's better that they're kept separate.
Okay, I don't know. I'm interested.
I'm guessing
to see
it's 2 discs that with the movie on it.
Right on. Well, I'm excited to see it. I'm sorry, 3 more ones. The 4K of How to Train Your Dragon 1 is coming out, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, Drew Struzan, famous poster artist, recently did much of How to Train Your Dragon poster art. So that, I'm guessing they might end up on a steelbook release in the future.
That'd be neat. Warner Archives is putting out The Giant Behemoth, which is a little monster movie. Looks like dinosaurs in this case, or a lizard dinosaur. And then lastly, Johnny English Strikes Again in Blu-ray. So if you couldn't get enough Johnny English in your life, you were in luck.
Yep. Finish the trilogy. Not for
next. Unite the Seven.
Not for next week, but I think it's April's Criterion. They announced a bunch of releases, and 2 of them are Jackie Chan's Police Story 1 and 2,
which I was like really excited about.
I know that's I never would have crossed my mind that those would be. But I agree that they're worthy of the Criterion.
Yeah, they're valuable pieces of Chan's filmography.
Cinema, and just cinema in general. Like they're great action movies. So
agreed.
Criterion's not really known for putting action movies in their collection other than like Armageddon and The Rock.
Or artsy action movies are the closest they usually get. But I think they're really trying to expand their label a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think the only other place Police Story would have fit in my mind would have been Shout.
Yeah.
Or maybe Twilight Time. Nah, no. Criterion seems the right place to do this, though, because like Jackie Chan's like... It's amazing when you think about it. His filmography's fucking expansive. Like, he's been in so many fucking things that we haven't even seen in this country.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, and some stuff that I really want to see that I just haven't, like, sat down to see. But, you know, like, he's had quite a career. He was honored at the Oscars 2 years ago for the honorary thing. And, like, you watch the Governor's Ball clip and whatnot, and they go through shit. And it's amazing.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if they expand any further on his oeuvre. Because I would love to have like a Rumble in the Bronx Criterion.
I would say Shout would grab for that before.
Yeah, it might be too
else.
mainstream, but you know, we'll see.
Maybe not so. You know, like I mean, like Criterion actually might do it though, because like Rumble in the Bronx is New Line or is it Warner's or something like that?
I think it's New Line.
So they might actually. Criterion might actually grab at it because they've got a better deal with Warner Brothers than any of the other studios do with these guys. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Blu-rays. All right, Brad, what have you been watching this week?
So, yeah, this is the stuff we've been watching.
Not a lot, but also a lot. I'll start with probably the biggest thing. No, I'll save that for last. A lot that I've seen, but there's not a lot to talk about is I discovered the Riff Tracks archive on Prime.
Yeah, you did.
I'm watching all these movies with the riff tracks embedded in the movie, and you know the collection is quite large on Prime. So you know I've watched Birdemic, Shock and Terror.
Did you watch the live one or did you watch the?
Well, it alternates depending on what you get because like stuff like we saw. What was it?
Did we see Hands? No, we saw the 30th anniversary one.
Yeah, there's like the 30th anniversary specials on there. I didn't like rewatch that, but like, you know, they have a bunch of like movies you've never heard of that they're riffing.
Ghost House is a fun one.
Yeah, like Grizzly, but then there's also like pretty high profile ones like Birdemic. Samurai Cop is on there.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's the other like?
Miami Connection.
Miami Connection's on there.
Yeah.
I watched that. So like those expected. Like cult classics are on there, and the thing I wasn't used to, like growing up with Mystery Science Theater, is like a lot of times they edit like the naughty content out of the movies, but with Riff Tracks,
oh, you get everything.
They leave
mostly everything.
Like Samurai Cop was a little edited. I think they took a few of the sex scenes out,
right?
But they left like some of the nudity in some places. So like, and then you know their jokes are a little raunchier, which is fun.
Yeah, they're allowed to be a little bit more.
Yeah, they swear more and they make like like dirtier jokes.
I think and that's like I don't think Mike Nelson's ever felt like he was held back in MST3K, but like you can tell he clearly has fun doing it this way.
Yeah.
If you listen to a commentary track that they do for like a mainstream film, like any of the Harry Potters or the Transformers, they'll go into places you've never like gone before. But the Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 one has one of the best ones. It's still bleeped, but it's raunchy. It's dirty as all heck. When Kevin Murphy gets super pissed at the flashback being a fake out, and he just goes like, "What the fuck? We sat through 5 of these motherfuckers," and like, but it's all bleep, and it's just super hilarious.
Yeah.
So,
there's not any like real like mainstream movies on the list. So,
probably not. Yeah,
that, so I won't get to see it, but the most notable one, though, is because Ryan watched a couple weeks ago and talked about it, was what's his name? It's Silent Rage with
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris,
yeah,
is on there, and that I don't remember Ryan talking about. There's like reanimated people in it, but yeah, that is a not good movie, and it's Chuck Norris. There's some scientist people trying to reanimate the serial killer, and he keeps coming back, and it's so long. But it's made all more fun because Riff Tracks is making fun of it.
Nice.
Yeah, and then so Riff Track stuff. There's so many of them, so I'm just
if they
burning
don't
through them.
if they don't have this one, try to see if you can find it elsewhere. Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny.
That's on there.
Watch it.
Yeah.
That's
The last one I watched was Plan 9 from Outer Space, and
a fun one.
yeah,
That-
I've seen the non-riff tracks version. So
That still has, if you watch the live one, it has Jonathan Colton doing live performances, and it has one of my favorite riff tracks lines, which is a guy getting out of a plane, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Bob Executive. Which way is business?"
oh yeah, I remember that. That was a good joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the high-profile ones that are like the live shows, and then the lesser-known movies are just them. You just hear their voices and you never see anything. And then the main thing I watched that is still kind of baffling is I watched Welcome to Marwen.
Oh.
Which is a technically impressive film. Like the CGI.
I'm sure it is.
Like, Zemeckis in the past has gotten a lot of flack for the CGI in his movies being like soulless in the eyes. I didn't get that with this one.
Probably because it's intentional. Ish. They're dolls, so...
No, I didn't get that. Like, they seem like humans that are just deformed physically. But, like, when I look into all the characters' eyes, like, I believe, like, the real actor's there.
Oh, okay.
So that's improved. But it's certainly still a weird movie. And, as sympathetic as we are to the character who's, the story of it is... shoot, I forget his name.
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell's character is a real life person who has enjoyed wearing women's shoes, and he went to the bar a lot and made a joke about how much he enjoys it, and some neo-Nazis kicked his ass for it. They almost killed him, and the experience left him with PTSD about it, and they get caught and tried and found guilty, and all his friends want him to testify about it so they get the maximum sentence. But his PTSD won't let him do it. And part of the psychological damage of, like, he used to be an artist, and his brain damage took away his ability to draw. So he has filled that gap by taking photos of dolls, not necessarily Barbie dolls, but like war dolls, in his backyard, and he's built this town called Marwen, which is a fusion of, I think his character's name is Mark, and the woman who found him on the ground after he was assaulted was named Wendy. So it's the town of Marwen, and it's just a collection of like everything that helps him feel good about himself.
Right.
And so he slips into like dream states of like imagining, Zemeckis portrays like these sequences like they're really imaginative and creative, like of the dolls actually, moving and existing based on what he's thinking and feeling.
Right.
And there's one doll which I forget the full name, but the first name is Deja, which is clearly an allusion to deja vu, of feeling like it's the doll is basically a metaphor for the monkey on his back.
Right.
And she constantly holds him back from doing what he needs to do to get over this.
Right.
And this is what the movie's not terrible, but this is the part that made it sort of amazing for me, is Deja commissions him to build her a time machine. This is Robert Zemeckis, who directed the Back to the Future trilogy. She commissions him to build a time machine, and at first, a couple scenes later, he finishes it, and it's like, oh, that's funny. Like, he made a really shitty-looking DeLorean out of cardboard and plastic and stuff.
Right.
Like, and you think that would be the end of the joke.
Right.
But the finale of the movie goes into, like, full-on CGI, like, Mark's version of himself as a doll is much more heroic than he is in real life.
Right.
And so
it's projecting something more heroic into his situation to cover up his insecurity and his frustration and fear.
So the finale is like he flies around in a DeLorean time machine. Like, it's not even like just a knockoff time machine. It's the DeLorean.
Right.
That's like slightly junky looking. And they have to like go back in time to fix his problem. And the dolls are having this action sequence, and the DeLorean's flying around, and then at one point, like, it takes off and the fire trails are left behind. And
wow.
I think no, I'm pretty sure Alan Silvestri scored Marwen, so he's able to take cues from Back to the Future into the finale. I'm just like, wow, like what a like ballsy move to do, like with this, you know, person's real life, and then inject your own cinematic history into it. I wouldn't say it's like offensive, but it's just like so like I did not see that coming, and no one talked about it. Like I wasn't prepared for it, but I was like so delighted a little bit to see like
right
more Back to the Future on screen. But
it sounds delightful. I mean, and I don't want to, you know, badger your or bat down your enthusiasm for it. Just the whole idea of using time travel to fix an issue that has caused great pain in your life is, you know, it's a tricky.
Well, he doesn't. It's just like the framing of the story, like
okay,
what his imagination is going to. It's just aesthetically that it's a time travel sequence that involves the DeLorean.
So it's a notion. It's not like a whole plot point. Like
yeah, he's not actually going back in time
or
like reflecting on too much in the past. He's just like, again, it's been a week, and I didn't like. It's not something I thought about a lot. Story-wise, the thing that stood out for me most that I didn't like was that Steve Carell's character is a little shallow in his attraction to women. Like he easily falls for beautiful women, and I forget how he describes it, but he's more attracted to the essence of women. And that's why he likes the women's shoes. That's what he says. But Leslie Mann like moves it next door to him, and there's this other girl that works at the doll shop that is clearly like a better fit for him. And he kind of ignores her and tries to like get out of hanging with her, even though she does all these nice things for him. And then he eventually finds out that Leslie Mann is like, even though she doesn't find the doll thing like as a turnoff, she's still just not prepared for his level of mental anguish.
Right.
So that it's just awkward how much he pines for her, even though there's no real reason for them to be
right.
more than friends.
No, yeah.
So it's really awkward when, you know, she has to turn him down.
It's like it's a weird lack of growth.
Yeah.
Like within that now, like the thing that's like every review that I've read for the film felt wrong. Like I was like everything I was reading about it going like, Zemeckis, what'd you do? but having not seen the film, I'm not going to make a harsh judgment on it. I will say though that documentary has a lot of big fans, and the thing that they were frustrated by is how much they changed not only of the story but also how the themes that they chose to explore are the least important compared to what they could have explored. And I don't want to. I don't know the whole grandeur of it because I've neither seen the documentary nor the movie in question. Yeah. So,
but I think there's.
It's been fascinating to see the flashback though.
I think there's room in the world like you can make movies inspired by ideas from other things like this. Like this guy has a documentary. His life is covered on film. Like you can still do it. Oh yeah. I mean, Zemeckis is clearly inspired by, you know, like, hey, here's a little nugget of something, and I have this weird creative impulse to put my Back to the Future stuff into this guy's story, and like we're gonna
Polar Express technology.
Yeah, we have CGI. Like, what if you could actually see the dolls like move like dolls, and you know, make it the most elaborate toy sequence that your childhood brain could ever imagine.
Right.
And there's actually a cool thing that when like the Nazi dolls get killed, well, any dolls really, like instead of just like flopping over, they freeze back into like their non-imaginative prone state.
Right.
So that's pretty like creative, I thought. So nice. Marwen's, I think it's definitely worth a watch. Like, it's kind of a mistake to treat this as like possibly some kind of like it was definitely more of like an indie film that should have been like on the indie circuit, and not like out competing with Aquaman and Bumblebee and whatever else was big that over the holidays. Like it was definitely something that should have had like a limited release, because it's really just like Zemeckis indulging himself in like trying things.
Maybe even a dead month, like September.
Yeah, January, February.
And like and you know, you're talking to a guy who really liked The Walk, and I know that Man on Wire is technically better, but I really liked The Walk. I put it in my top 10 for that year, mainly because I hadn't seen a lot of movies that year. But like I'm not opposed to Zemeckis doing his whole let me adapt documentary thing, but reading the stuff on it, I'm curious to watch Marwin Call and then Welcome to Marwin and kind of have my own opinion about it eventually.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Is that all you watched?
Yep.
Oh, right on. Literally not that much for me. I've been indulging in Next Gen. I got through the entire first season this week, and that was rough. There's a lot of stuff that it was so. Because when I first watched it, and I prefaced this last week by saying like I was either drunk or stoned when I was watching Next Gen the whole way through the first time. That like watching it now, I'm like, oh, the sheen, whatever sheen I thought I had on this is gone, and I'm now seeing the cracks and everything. Whereas with TOS, I'm kind of a little bit more forgiving of everything because it's like a childhood thing. I didn't grow up with Next Gen; like I found Next Gen after high school and stuff. So, but like the Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar getting killed is like, it sucks, and it's. I will say though, like even though her death sucks, and even though I kind of like the formation of the episode, like that tar monster is ridiculous, but I like the idea of that tar monster, and like even kind of like a little bit of the effect of it kind of coming out of the bottom, but then you can see when the tar monster envelops the shuttle craft that Troy is stuck in, it literally looks like. When they drew Batman in for that one shot in Batman 89 where he turns to the cape and walks away. Like, you can tell it's animation. It's not great.
I just realized Tar versus Yar.
Tar versus Yar! That should have been the name of the episode. Heart to Glory, though, still a great episode. With Worf finally being explored in a season so far that has chosen not to use him at all. And I like Data Lore again. Again, these are like they're getting a footing of some kind. And like and I started watching season 2. Oh wait, season 1 though. The final episode. I really liked the idea of the Romulan conflict and stuff like that. But those cryogenic tubes were dumb. And having these 3 distinctive 80s personalities on the ship bothered me. Other than the woman who clearly lost her family, but then there's the stockbroker who is so obsessed with getting to his lawyers and to his bank, only to not get the hint that that's not how the world works in the 23rd century, and the country singer who really forms a fun relationship with Data. And, I mean, it may be a while since you've seen this, but I shit you not, if after some of his conversations, the score for this show goes into a guitar twang, and it is hilarious. And I rolled my eyes so much throughout that episode. The one before it, Conspiracy, though, is awesome, and I dug watching it. And I was surprised by, in Conspiracy, at the very end, when they confront Remick as the guy who had the brain slugs in him the entire time, that effect of the brain bug or whatever, the body bug, shooting out is just as violent looking and grotesque as anything in John Carpenter's The Thing. And that's on network television. I know it's syndicated, but that still seems like, wow, they let that on television? That seems rough. And then season 2, the whole Troy being pregnant for a day was interesting. I liked the one where they went into the void where there's nothing really going on. But the effect of what's in the void, which looks like this cheap 90s or late 80s, early 90s CGI effects, like the first Pixar film, it looked weird. But my 2 favorite episodes to watch thus far, though, were the ones I still liked all these years later, which is the Dixon Hill episode with Picard playing his favorite character from literature, and Elementary, My Dear Data, which is Moriarty wanting to get out of the holodeck. Which, it's actually, unlike Holmes and Watson, that's a good Sherlock Holmes mystery. Kind of. But then it turns into a Star Trek episode, which is fun, and I dig it. I actually just like I thought about this the same way that I thought about it when I first saw it, which is, can we do like an animated show where Data and Geordi are just like playing Holmes and Watson, and like I just like the whole Victoria setting, but they still look like how they do. Like it just would have been fun. But remembering that the first season is shaky, compelled me to watch a little documentary by William Shatner called Chaos on the Bridge, which is on Prime, which is honestly just like a 1 hour sci-fi special because it's got like a bunch of different like silly visuals to keep the audience interested. But it's basically about Gene Roddenberry getting involved in the creation of Next Gen and how his involvement in the first couple of seasons combined with a lot of other things in Paramount's realm on why those first couple of seasons are shaky. And, you know, I like Roddenberry's humanist point of view on everything, but I agree, it does nothing to help the show.
Yeah,
there's no conflict in those first couple of in the first season. There's very little conflict.
Yeah.
Very little.
Hard to write for that. Like,
yeah, if you're trying to like
24 episodes a season.
Yeah, it's like everything's perfect. Like, well, clearly there's not, unless you've got Q in the room, and then that seems to fit your idea somehow.
Yeah, well, I think his mandate isn't like there's no conflict. It's that that the people in Starfleet are solid. Like,
there's no conflict there.
Yeah, like they're all like altruistic, like good people. Like no one's duplicitous, no one's seedy, nothing. Yeah, like everyone has the same common goal and they all work together. Like, yeah.
Which is why Conspiracy is such a great episode, is because it finally breaks that notion. Because, like, you know, like, Starfleet's pretty altruistic in the TOS and even the movies for the most part.
Yeah, but it's always an outside force, like the Klingons or the Romulans or some new entity. Like, it's always thrust upon our good characters.
Right, and Conspiracy is kind of the same thing, but, like, it still does it pretty well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, I'm going to keep going. I still like rewatching it.
Speaking of Shatner, Starfest announced that he's coming to Starfest this year, so...
Oh, my God.
He's the big get.
I gotta go make some arrangements, guys.
Yeah.
It's not that I necessarily want to meet him. I just want to look at him. Does that sound creepy? It probably is.
Yeah, yeah. Just imagine he's at his booth signing, autographs, and you're just kind of slightly off to the side, just looking at him.
You know what? I'll get in line for an autograph, and I'll say, Mr. Shatner, I don't want an autograph. I don't want a photo. I'm going to pull out a microphone, and I'll be like, I want a duet.
If you get him to speak on mic, you need to have him do, this is William Shatner, and you're listening to Real Nerds Podcast.
Now get a life.
Get a life.
In all seriousness, though, it'd be fun to meet him and get a photo, because, realized this when Nimoy died, but, I was devastated when Nimoy died, because I loved Star Trek TOS from middle school onward. Shatner dies, I'm going to feel the same fucking wreck. Or if Koenig dies and Takei dies or Nichelle Nichols dies, I'm going to feel like a fucking wreck. So, anyway.
That's why I went to see him last year.
I know.
Don't have much time left.
I know. Well, now I have an opportunity.
Yep.
Also, I have an idea for the con for cosplay. I'm going to go as Jonathan Frakes in his Riker uniform, but I'm also going to have a director's beret and a scarf and a monocle, and I'm going to go as Director Riker.
Are you going to wear the Next Gen uniform or the movie Next Gen uniform?
Movie Next Gen. I think I'd go for that. But yeah, and then I'll carry around a slate that says Star Trek First Contact. So anyway, that's all I watched this week. I really wish I'd watched more.
No, that's probably good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Keep it short.
Yeah. All right. This week we saw M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. Brad, you saw this last week.
I know. I wanted to watch it again before the show, but I didn't get around to it.
Well,
so it's not quite as fresh.
Should people go see Glass?
That's the wrong question to ask. I think everyone should see the movie that they're interested in. Find out for yourself always.
Look, movies are an enjoyable art form by multiple people.
I
agree.
You learn something from watching everything. Did I enjoy it? Which is the question.
That's a good question. Did you enjoy Glass?
Well, there's also the caveat of my expectations of being I love the Unbreakable universe, right? And the screening I saw, like I watched Unbreakable for the first time in a long time ahead of Glass, like 4 hours ahead of it,
Right.
followed by Split, followed by Glass. So right away, like fresh in my mind, my expectations are raised because Unbreakable is amazing. It's like one of my favorite films of all time. And then Split's good, but it doesn't have the style because Unbreakable has the Universal budget and Split has the Blumhouse budget. So like,
Unbreakable has the Touchstone budget and the post Sixth Sense budget.
I guess it is Touchstone.
Yeah, it was Touchstone. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Disney budget. And it's funny because there was also an interview with Shyamalan in the screening where he's talking about how he's focused on making smaller movies, and he was kind of into himself too much in the studio day, like the big studio days. So he's finding his way back to just making films that interest him.
Yeah.
And aren't just trying to make money. So anyway, so my expectations I feel like are a bit off. Like that's why I really wanted to see it again,
Right.
like on its own, because I found this to be really mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
And it's again like because the budget on this is so much less than Unbreakable,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm barely comparing it to Split, but like Split influences this movie too much to where it's like, yeah, it's cool to see James McAvoy act his ass off and he's good at it,
Right.
but it's like, tying this into a universe, I want to see more of David Dunn. And the most criminal thing is like this movie's called Glass, and Mr. Glass is basically not a character until the finale of the movie.
Right.
Unbreakable is about David Dunn and his origin story. Split is about the Beast's origin story. I expected, I know it's not we're not going to go back in time because we already saw his origin in Unbreakable, but
We can get in Steve Carell's DeLorean.
I felt like Elijah's like more. I just thought it would be more focused on what drives Elijah and dissecting that, and it's not. It's awesome for the first 10 minutes when David Dunn's the overseer and he's a vigilante, and it's like everything that was in our minds after Unbreakable ended and where it would go. And then it just takes a screeching halt, and I guess I'll wait till the main review to talk about that. But I think they could have done better. And the finale is just a total just pissed me off so much.
Okay.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah. I want to preface this by saying something similar to what you're saying. It's not a crime if you hate this movie. And it is fine to like M. Night Shyamalan. I like a lot of M. Night Shyamalan movies, Unbreakable being one of them. But I have not seen Unbreakable in a while. The last Shyamalan movie I saw, other than Split, 2 years ago, would have probably been The Visit. And I thought that it was an interesting return for him. Glass, in my opinion, is one of the most condescending movies I've seen in a long, long time. That genuinely talks down to the audience, and that frustrated me a lot. In a way that I realized was because of how far we've come since Unbreakable in terms of the superhero genre. And in terms of this being a film, I think that Shyamalan, while working on his own terms, I think let his overconfidence get too much in the way again this time. I will say I like certain ideas of the film and what they could have been and not what they became. I think McAvoy is still really good in that role. I think that Samuel Jackson, for how little he is given, is still pretty good because I like that character a lot. Bruce Willis is doing his current Bruce Willis thing. But outside of that, there's very little to this film to enjoy, in my opinion. And now, we'll get into it in spoilers, but I think the big thing that this film doesn't accomplish, in my mind, is that it doesn't stay true to what Unbreakable was and becomes more of a combination of what Split was and a combination of what M. Night Shyamalan thinks a good superhero movie today is. So, no, I don't think I would go see it at least in theaters. If you want to watch it on Blu-ray, digital, whatever, that's your own business. But I don't recommend it. And I think, honestly, if you like Unbreakable, you should just leave it at that. You don't even need to watch Split without the last reveal at the end, and then you'll be fine. It's its own thing, you know? Here's the trailer for Glass.
Elijah's changed over the years. He's given up.
We keep him heavily sedated.
But there is a reason
For that. He's too smart for them.
You won't be lonely anymore. You have 2 new friends.
The 3 of you think you have extraordinary gifts, like something out of a comic book. I've developed an effective treatment for this disorder. The light will force a different identity to take over.
Por favor, señora. I want my headphones back. Step away from the controls now, little doctor. Can't beat the beast!
So you're not going to shake my hand and let me walk out of here?
Good for you. What do you want?
I am here to see if tales of the extraordinary being are true. May I meet the beast?
I'm Mary Reynolds.
I need your abilities to get us all out of here and show the world we exist. That sounds like the bad guys teaming up. Do you believe you are an avenging angel, partner? I believe. Avenge us.
I have to get out of here before he gets out.
They are contained.
They always underestimate the mastermind.
It has begun, David. I found someone who will require your full potential. You shouldn't be hiding in the shadows. You might want to try and stop us. A lot of people are going to die.
Now, who'd like a PB and J sandwich?
We are not meant to have this much power.
Finally, all of us together for the world to see what we are capable of.
You need to get out of here.
What have you done, Elijah?
Oh, finally.
Yeah, I know it. Apologies, but this is.
I'm only passionate about it because I was so excited for this to finally happen, as well as many other people. And it's just, now that we're in spoiler territory, the thing that pissed me off the most was killing those characters at the end. Like,
not even that, but the way they did it. If they had killed them in a grandiose fashion, that
it's not
made sense.
heroic. Like,
not just heroic, but just like flat out like it's murder.
Like, I like the idea of there being like this secret organization that's like trying to stop the rise of superheroes in this realistic world,
while still allowing Michael Myers to run around free. They fucking this fucking thing pissed me off. And Ryan and I were actually texting about this like after he got out of the screening, because the cult comes in. Like, you've lost your opportunity to introduce the cult at that point, in my opinion. Like that's some late reveal Halloween 5 bullshit that like, or Halloween 6 bullshit that I didn't buy. Like, I didn't like Sarah Paulson. I knew she was crooked from the get-go, but then this happened. And I was like, well, that's a dumb reveal. Like, I mean, like, and I know it's a universe builder, but it just upset me. Like, I mean, I rolled my eyes and I felt like talked down to a little bit.
Well, on top of being talked down to, like, the finale is like it's such an off thing to have the characters saying out loud in their own dialogue. Like, this thing that happens in comics is happening right now, and that's not like a quote from the movie, but that's a summation of a bunch of lines that are being repeated.
That's the absolute 100% vibe of this movie.
Which feels very childish.
So I want to bring it back to Unbreakable for
and
a
lazy.
second. Yeah. I want to bring it to Unbreakable for a second. So Unbreakable comes right after Sixth Sense, obviously, and it's much more dramatic movie than you might think. Like, or at least that's how I remembered it.
That's what's really cool about it is
that it treats it seriously, or not. Well,
the cinematography alone is like very measured and like very like specifically crafted. It feels like everything is meticulously like nuanced. And that one scene where David Dunn's son gets a hold of his handgun and almost shoots him, trying to prove to him that he, is impervious to bullets.
Yeah,
is an incredibly tense scene that's like done so well. This movie doesn't have that.
No, it
type
doesn't.
of stuff in it. It's very lighthearted, and it's so frustrating when it starts off really good because the Beast is abducting girls again, and the Overseer, is used. Like, I didn't expect them to bring back his son as an adult. That's like basically his Oracle.
Played by Jeff Anderson of Clerks fame.
Jefferson lookalike. Not
yeah,
Jeff
exactly.
Anderson.
Spencer Treat Clark, I think his name is.
Yeah. But it's a cool idea to like his son is in on it. It's a shame that Robin Wright has died in the 15 whatever.
She was
years.
busy killing Kevin Spacey on her Netflix show.
Yeah. So it's a cool dynamic, and like they track down the Beast, and like. For I guess it was a $20 million film, so it's not a budget as low as I thought it was, but
it's lower than Unbreakable, which is interesting.
Absolutely, but yeah, that fight sequence of like these two immovable objects going at it, and then so you bring in that fight gets interrupted by the police and Sarah Paulson's character, which at that point I'm like, how did they even know they were there? But I guess she's part of the cult being as like far-reaching as it is, I guess
the Cape Illuminati.
Yeah, but then it goes to the asylum, and you finally get to see what Elijah's been up to, and he's been sedated this whole time, and kind of supposedly out of his mind, like because he's on tons of drugs. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if he's been on these drugs, even if he wasn't on the drugs, how did he get out of the room without the key cards?
Yeah,
did I miss that part?
No, well. You didn't miss anything because he didn't give you any of that.
Yeah,
but
they just say like, "Well, he's been getting out."
This is one of those. This is one thing that I will give the film on the Elijah character is my knowledge of Elijah from the first film carries over to this film just fine in terms of he is highly intelligent. He would have found some way to do something. The best shot of this movie for me is when. You think he's had the surgery, because there's this surgery where it's apparently supposed to fix a frontal lobe thing that cures you of thinking you're a superhero, whatever. It's fucking MacGuffin. And
it's just an excuse to like give him a lobotomy.
Yeah, the lobotomy, yeah. And but there's this incredible one shot, like it's static, it stands, it's still. You have an orderly entering the frame. I think to feed him. I can't remember. I think it's to feed him, and he notices that the pictures that Mr. Glass has above his wall are kind of like crooked. And then suddenly you just see Samuel L. Jackson from a behind shot just quickly slit this guy's throat, and he just said it took forever to find the right piece. And that was like
that was a badass moment.
That's what I fucking want out of this movie.
I thought that was going to kick in at that point.
And then
it should have kicked in like an hour ago.
Yeah, and then and even like some of the stuff where he's rolling around with McAvoy, I got interested in the movie again.
Mm-hmm.
But
because they're teaming up.
But the problem is
you see that he's got a plan going on.
Yeah, and I'll even say like if this was just called Split 2, that would have probably made more sense because it's a pretty much split movie. It's a split movie that happens to have Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. They might as well have not been there.
There's a good chunk of the movie runtime that is wasted on them in a therapy session together, where we just retread. Like Shyamalan tries to convince us, the audience, that
we've never seen Unbreakable before.
No, that these characters are crazy, which is a mistake because we're not like we've already bought into the fact that they're like that they are superheroes, like they actually have real powers, and to sit there and tell us like unless the final reveal of the movie is that they are in fact crazy. Like
these
scenes are useless.
Then it's a waste of time.
Yeah, not only
because you're basic. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Not only are they, totally fucked up now.
Sorry.
What was I going to say?
they're retreading the first film.
Yeah, like not only are they not only is he trying to like do the smoke and mirrors thing of like are they actually superheroes, but they're also like reminding us of things from the first movie, which I get you have to do a little of it because the movie that people love the most is 15 years old at this point,
right?
Or 19. But they do almost an hour's worth of like, hey, you know, remember this thread from this thing back then and what this means now, and like, oh my God, just get to the part where Elias slits the orderly's throat and we can just move on to the finale. Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Right. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but like what I was gonna say is like I don't need you to remake the movie Unbreakable in one dull scene in a pink room for 20-ish minutes. It seems like this movie's fucking long, by the way, or it feels long.
Yeah.
The first 20 to 30 minutes of the film, I was somewhat invested, but here's another thing: Bruce Willis. I know he's been phoning it in, but this is beyond lazy.
I don't know if it's his fault because like.
I
think David Dunn's story, like what he gets to work with, is garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he gets to start out awesome, and then he gets relegated to like, you know, well, we just have to cut back to him in a cell because we're tired of what James McAvoy's doing for a minute, and then he gets to die at the end.
Right, and I'm not saying like
in a horribly unheroic way.
Oh yeah, fucking. But like, so like, I'm not like shitting on Bruce Willis. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, his charisma and his charm is enough to watch the film. In this, though, my summation of what I feel like has been a disservice to him on Shyamalan's end is summed up in the scene in the security, the home security store that he runs, with M. Night Shyamalan's cameo, and it's Spencer Treat Clark, his son, and M. Night Shyamalan talking at the counter, and then Bruce Willis enters the frame and goes, "I'm going to take a walk," and he says it to Spencer Treat Clark and M. Night Shyamalan. I think he's talking to M. Night Shyamalan saying, I'm going to walk off this movie now because
that was a fun
I'm
scene.
getting nothing to do.
That was a fun like cameo acknowledgement that he's like M. Night Shyamalan is basically two characters in this universe.
Yeah.
And it's a fun way to explain it away. Like that was really good.
But I also at the same time was just like, yeah, Bruce, I get it. I'd rather be doing something else too.
Yeah. And then also Casey, like,
oh yeah,
it's so bizarre that she like her character would want to, like, there was a part of me that was like in the trailers thinking that because she's a main character, but we haven't figured out that she has her own power yet, and she might, like, if you consider like compassion like a superpower,
right?
But it feels so unnecessary that she's here to like try to save Kevin Michael Crumb.
Yeah.
It just feels so forced
right.
to include her.
Well, and I mean like
Kevin Michael Crumb killed her two friends.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I mean, but here's what I would say on that is like, because I'm not going to defend the decision at all. I agree, it's kind of garbage, but I liked seeing that character again, and also her having like what is appearing to be some form of control over situation. But what I don't appreciate is like the Split was about her facing, like, saying no to terror. Like that's like the
finding the strength to stand up to abuse.
To abuse and to herself, for herself. And then in this film, it's like fucking Stockholm Syndrome, Beauty and the Beast weirdness, where I'm like,
yeah.
What? Wait. What? Now you like Kevin? I get it that you found a way to reach him, but
like much like Mr. Glass unlocked David Dunn's power.
Yeah, but that doesn't
the Beast
mean...
should have unlocked. Like she should have had a power. Like because the Beast is like wrath and rage, and David Dunn is like strength, and Mr. Glass is fragility. Like healing and compassion should have been like her power.
And Split makes it clear that she's like there might be some power developing, but it's not there. Whether it's out of the trauma or whatever, but like she's still ill-defined in this movie.
Yeah.
So like I'm not angry that she's there, but
and I'm not saying she has to have like rays coming out of her hands to like visually show it. It's just like
that'd be amazing.
There's a way to watch this movie where like she does have a power and no one's talking about it,
right?
Because she by the end she does like make Kevin Michael Crumb feel good about, you know, because spoiler, everyone dies.
Yeah, everyone.
All three of these characters
all
die.
three of your poster guys die.
Yeah, which is like.
What was the point then of
to unlock this universe and then kill those three characters? Like,
well, I read
where are we gonna go? Like more Sarah Paulson stories? Like, what the fuck?
I read though that like apparently this was intended as a trilogy, but I guess nowadays obviously the goal is cinematic universe. So I guess we're gonna get the unexpected trio of Spencer Treat Clark, Anya Joy Taylor, I think his name is,
Anna Joy Taylor,
and Glass's
or
mom,
Anna Taylor Joy,
and Mr. Glass's mom, who she's good, but.
Yeah, is that the original actress? Remember?
I can't remember.
She didn't look like it, but she might have been in heavy makeup.
But like when I meant at the beginning of the review about this film being condescending, it straight up like assumes that we have not been through the Marvel age, the DC age of cinema in the past 10 to 15 years.
I disagree. The whole like tease of the finale taking place in a single building like Avengers Tower, I think was a nod to that.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the dialogue. Like Sarah Paulson's dialogue is like her trying to explain how comic books work and stuff like that, the same way Mr. Glass did, sounded like Shyamalan talking to a baby. And like I was just like, no, Shyamalan should have worked under the assumption that we know the rules of this game already. There's too much reliance on him not being confident enough in Unbreakable's fans and Split's fans to kind of be one and the same.
Yeah.
It
feels very much like he's trying to, even though we know he knows a lot about comic books, it's like he's trying to prove how much he does.
Yeah, he's trying too much. Because, like, Unbreakable has the right amount of it because there's also enough human drama in there that it balances it out correctly.
And at that time, audiences didn't know that much about comics.
Exactly, and that's why it works. When you do it now, it doesn't because we've been through, like, Black Panther is probably going to get nominated on Tuesday for Best Picture, guys. We know what comic books are. And I'm not saying that I'm angry at Shyamalan for doing that necessarily. Like, maybe somewhere in his mind he doesn't feel like everybody's going to get it. But... the line that really made me laugh out, I texted you about this, where I laughed out loud, was when Sarah Paulson is talking to, I think it's all three of the, like, Spencer Treat Clark, Anya, and Mr. Glass's mom. And she's like, have you ever been to a comic book convention? You see these people sharing in their delusions? I'm like, whoa, this is dumb as fuck. And I'm frustrated because I wanted to enjoy this film. I wasn't the biggest Split fan in the world, and I thought that twist at the end, making it an Unbreakable sequel, was somewhat problematic because I'm like, okay, well, how is this going to work? And also, I kind of liked Unbreakable when it was just its own statement on superheroes, and that was it. And this is my answer to that, is Glass, and it kind of, unfortunately, proves my point because I wanted this to be great. I wanted to be proven wrong, and I didn't get to that. The idea, though, of thinking it's going to be at the tower and then twisting it into it's happening at the asylum on purpose, that was pretty cool. But I don't like the way it's executed. The problem is that all the good ideas are getting like dropped, like they're like really cool eggs, and then the eggs are breaking on the ground because someone tripped, and I don't know who tripped. I think it's Shyamalan. But it could have been a number of things. So, I don't know. I'm frustrated that I didn't like this movie. I really walked in wanting to have fun. I was going to ignore critics and all that stuff and be like, just go have fun. And I couldn't.
Yeah, I could have forgiven if it like, at least the secret organization had captured them and then the movie ended. Like, at least leave us with somewhere to go. But it's just such a kick in the pants to, like, wait this long for this movie and then, 2 years ago, unlock, like, there's more to go with this story.
Right.
And then shut down all those opportunities. Like,
out of the 3 Unbreakable movies, this is the one that feels like it's the most twisty. I'm not Shyamalan twisty.
Yeah, because we didn't even talk about the fact that, like, Mr. Glass did have this elaborate plan to, expose superheroes beyond, like, he had a contingency plan in his death, and, like, that's, like, on top of them dying... And then there being a cult revealed. There's also a twist of his plan succeeding
because the he makes the cameras all around the asylum live stream, or like upload something. I don't know, like he.
Yeah, he just basically uploads a bunch of YouTube videos.
Yeah, and then they release them to the world at the end, and they sit in the train station from the first movie,
which is like drawn out as this big reveal, but like the idea of it doesn't seem that surprising to me, and also the only surprising part is that the cult really like let that slip. Like it doesn't sound like this genius plan that Elijah had. Like if he had lived, like they would still be out there. So him dying like doesn't triggering that. I don't know.
The cult's too ill defined to function in this film. If you really wanted to define that cult better, or like give us a build up to it, kind of like you say, there's a useless scene in a psychiatry in a room with 3 people getting talked to by a psychiatrist about the first Unbreakable and the first Split. Get rid of that scene and use that time to build up the cult. You don't need to like tell me they're there, but like build something
or build up Mr. Glass's plan, because like I expect Mr. Glass to be like, okay, I've pitted the Beast and David Dunn together so that I can accomplish this other thing while everyone's distracted with this.
Right. Yeah, and again, for a movie called Glass.
But his plan is like, oh, well, I was able to sneak into the surveillance room and save all the videos of what's like of the final showdown, which is on in the parking lot, because we don't have the budget to actually go to like a big, Batman v Superman Beast fight. Like, right. I get that, but it's like if your plan was like, I'm just going to actually record. Like, he could have just had his mom get a video camera and shoot them, like,
his twist,
performing their powers.
Yeah, the twist is a big, massive work email where everyone's CC'd.
Yeah. It, like, doesn't seem that genius.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if Shyamalan's now self-financing these films now and whatnot, he's going to do what he's going to do. It didn't, like, shatter any records this week, but it did make some money, so it was still number 1 at the box office.
Yeah,
so.
But I think it's going to be a steep drop-off, because
yep.
I think the lower than expected box office is this word of mouth that we're having of being like, yeah, it's okay, it's just not great. Like,
whereas, or my opinion, which is just kill it, beat it with a hammer. I mean, like, and I don't really hate it. Like, I mean, I could watch it again. Like, I was really angry when I walked out of it, but I was also because when I got out of the theater, the snow hit in Denver, and I couldn't get an Uber for an hour. So I was just like, thanks a lot, M. Night Shyamalan. You got Netflix's weather machine and brought it for your own purposes.
Another exciting twist would have been, like, Mr. Glass's plan being like, we go in the movie with this expectation that it's the Beast, David Dunn, and Mr. Glass squaring off as enemies.
Yeah.
But Elijah's plan kind of like works best when these characters have to find common ground and work together to expose themselves. So if they had somehow like had to struggle with, heroes and villains having to team up to find a common goal, a la X-Men 2,
like maybe to fight Paulson's
it would have been
character.
stronger. Yeah, like he introduces this common enemy that is against all 3 of them. And yeah, 2 of the characters are villains, but it's a much more interesting and complicated road to walk down if they have to set aside their difference and come together. It's not they don't all have to be heroic, but just like they have to fight this new thing together, and then there could be like something interesting in a next movie. But
and then it's
over now. It's over.
Yeah, and then Shyamalan's whole like he's been making more like genre fare lately, like more so than he's ever done, like in terms of like being very clear, this is what I'm making, whereas everything else kind of felt like a blend. Like Unbreakable's got a thriller-ish vibe to it. It's not just strictly a superhero movie or a drama movie. Signs is a sci-fi movie, but it's also a horror movie. It's blends a little bit. This film, there were so many moments where I felt it was going to tread back into Unbreakable territory in terms of tone, movement, and style. It just doesn't quite hit it. And I don't know if that's a budgetary reason or if that's just how everything plays out.
Also in the Q&A, Shyamalan said that, he doesn't really think about genre and stuff like that. All his movies are about the mind, and his wife's a psychologist, so that's why he's like really interested in this stuff. So, okay. He wasn't there to answer questions about the new movie.
Right.
I mean, he was, but no one in the audience asked anything particularly interesting. even though he invited that, like he invited some like talking about his career and things, like, but no one bid on it, which sucked. But
well, they
like
were trying
there
to be
might be
polite.
some. I would really like to see what his explanation is for the cerebral level of what he's going for in this, because I don't see it.
Right.
And it might be there, but
we'd have to
I'm
dig
not
through
getting
some
it.
articles, and I'm sure he'll come out with something at some point. I will say, though, I appreciate that he has kept going, because so many other people could have just given up and just walked away and not done anything.
Well, he said after Unbreakable 1, like, because it didn't do well at the time, or at least not by his. Cause,
It did fine, but
it
it
came
didn't-
off of Sixth Sense, so it was like a high bar to financially live up to. But he was crushed. Like, I think this Unbreakable is his best film, and he sort of thought that too. And when it didn't perform, like he questioned, like, am I making movies that actually connect with audiences, or was Sixth Sense a fluke? So like this,
and that's why you get Signs, The Village.
It's
you get The Lady in the Water for different reasons.
Yeah, that was really a turning point for him. But like for a guy like who claims that these characters are probably the most important and most passionate he is about making movies, because this feels so rushed and so sloppy, it's surprising.
I think that what would have been better is if something like this would have happened down the line, and you would have had to rebuild up the legacy of David Dunn, I think, because relegating him to a small portion of this film the same way you relegate Samuel Jackson, like this is Split 2 with special guest stars Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson, and that's what frustrated me, is because like I don't think Bruce Willis is like as lazy as everyone jokes about these days. Like I know he does good stuff. Like Moonrise Kingdom is a great example of that. But we need to give him stuff to do. And this film did not give him anything to do. I did like the rescue scene where he rescues the cheerleaders.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But that's it. I don't get anything else.
Yep.
And that's that frustrating. And also him fucking being drowned in a puddle was dumb. And I was just like...
This felt insulting.
When you texted that I was like, I know, right?
Even after he survives like being almost drowned in a giant water tank, and then like his action scenes in the finale are just like him pushing against another forceful object.
And you'd think young Randall would come in and save him, but young Randall doesn't do it.
Yeah, and that's the other baffling thing is like here's this murderous cult, and the
editing's really weird on that final moment too.
Like the one mercenary just easily drags David Dunn into the puddle and like holds him down, and then his son's nearby like whining about it, and they're perfectly fine with killing David Dunn, but they're gonna let his mom and Casey and his son just kind of, all right, see you later, we're going. Sorry we killed. Actually, not sorry we killed your dad. Like that was totally what we wanted.
I drowned
to do.
him in a puddle. That means I hated him.
Yeah, like they don't assault his son. Like they're just like, yep, we did it. All right, we're packing up. We're out of here.
If that cult were to be more impactful-ish, you put them in a van, and then they'd somehow find a way to escape that van.
And Sarah Paul's not like, we have 3 witnesses here to our secret organization. But we're just gonna go.
Which, by the way, their tattoos on their arms to represent that they're a cult are shamrocks. I propose to you that the cult is a bunch of leprechauns, and the leprechauns are fighting superheroes in this M. Night Shyamalan world, because it somehow in my mind makes more sense than what I saw.
Leprechauns are afraid of like overpowered superhumans.
Yeah, exactly.
Crushing their way of life.
Because then that's how they'd get their gold.
They're protecting their Lucky Charms. You're not getting my marshmallow balloons, motherfucker.
Michael Fassbender plays Lucky from the Lucky Charms commercials in the Fourth Class movie. But yeah, no, it's a shame. I wanted to like this a lot. I really do.
Yeah.
I will say though, if you liked it, props to you. I'm just going to consider Unbreakable its own thing and Split its own thing until the last 5 minutes. So yeah, well, what are we seeing next week?
I really don't know.
I don't know either. We're still watch Glass again and get James and Ryan on that.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll be here next week to talk about their opinions of it. What is next week? I'm gonna look it up.
We could finally do that Fateful Findings commentary. Let's see. I don't know. This is dead air. This is good podcasting right here. Dead air. You listening to this? Ladies and gentlemen.
The Kid Who Would Be King and Serenity come out next week, technically.
The Kid Who Would Be King is Joe Cornish.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I would actually like to see that.
I'm not so excited about it. I'm sure it's fine. But I felt like there was something that's out that we just kind of missed. That. Oh well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We always do here on Real Nerds Podcast. We figure out what movie to see, and then we see it. God damn it!
And actually, we've got one more week before Lego Movie 2. That's Miss Bala or Arctic. So we've got 2 weeks to fill.
All right, right on.
So.
Well, I'm sure we could figure it out. There's some award contenders that we could always peep out and watch and review.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see Mary Queen of Scots or something. Or
oh, shoot. Corinne had some things to say about that. I wonder if we would have stuff to say about it.
Yeah. Oh, Stan and Ollie's out. So we could do that.
Ooh.
'Cause I want to see that.
Zach-centric episode. That doesn't sound fun. Let me tell you this part about Stan and Ollie's career. Let me tell you this part about Golden Age of Hollywood here. Jack Benny doesn't connect to this, but I'm going to make it connect anyway.
I'm going to start fading out his mic.
All right. Until next week, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Real Nerds Podcast. Real Nerds Podcast is a production of Nebulous Visions Multimedia. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill and Plan 9 Studios for our kick-ass theme song. Also, if you're in the Denver area and you're looking for a cool place to see movies, we see them at the Alamo Draft House in Littleton and now also in Sloan's Lake. Thank you to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics for supplying us with all our comic needs, especially you, Andrew. You know who you are. And a big shout out to James's mom. I'm giving you an electronic hug that you can feel through the airwaves. Thanks for listening, and have a nice day.